The assembly hall on Zorath Prime was huge. Its high ceiling glowed with soft blue light from floating orbs. Rows of seats rose in circles around a wide central platform. Delegates from many worlds sat there, tall, thin beings with feathers, short, strong ones with thick fur. Others looked like walking plants or floating jelly. They all wore bright robes or shining armor to show their rank. In one small section near the middle sat the humans. There were only 5 of them. Paul Clark led the group. He was tall, with short brown hair and steady gray eyes. He wore a simple dark suit that looked plain next to the colorful alien clothes. Next to him sat his wife, Karen. She had kind blue eyes and light brown hair tied back. Their son, Henry, only 8 years old, sat between them. Henry had messy black hair and big, curious eyes. He kept turning his head to look at everything. The humans had come to the Galactic Council for the first time as full visitors. Earth was new to this big group of worlds. Many aliens still did not trust humans. They called Earth a death world, a place where everything tried to kill you. Big storms, poison animals, hot deserts, and cold ice. Humans had survived all of it. That made other species nervous. Some thought humans were too wild to join polite society. Paul looked around the hall. He felt proud but also careful. This visit could help Earth make friends. Or it could go wrong. And he squeezed Karen's hand under the table. She gave him a small smile. Henry bounced a little in his seat. He pointed at a delegate who looked like a giant blue insect. "Dad, look! That one has 6 arms," Henry whispered loudly. Paul put a finger to his lips. "Quiet, son. We need to listen." On the central platform, the presiding elder spoke. He was a tall bird-like being named Virel. His feathers were silver and gold. His voice came through small translators in everyone's ears. Today we discuss the new trade route through the Orion Arm," Virel said. "The proposal comes from the Vexari Dominion." All eyes turned to the Vexari section. Commander Lyra Kor stood up. She was tall, even for her kind. Her body was covered in dark green scales that shone like wet stone. Sharp spines ran down her back. Her eyes were yellow slits. She wore a black uniform with red lines and a glowing badge on her chest. Many delegates respected her. Some feared her. She spoke in a low, hard voice. "The Vexari will control this route," she said. "It is close to our space. We have the ships and the strength to protect it." A furry delegate from the Loran Collective raised a paw. "But humans also have ships in that area now. Should they not share?" Lyra Kor turned her head slowly. Her yellow eyes found the human section. She looked at Paul, then at Karen, and finally at Henry. Her lips pulled back to show sharp teeth. "Humans?" she said. Her voice dripped with scorn. "Deathworlders should stay on their dangerous rock. They bring only trouble. Their world makes monsters, not civilized beings." A few delegates laughed quietly. Others looked uncomfortable. Paul felt his face get hot. He kept his hands flat on the table. He did not want to make a scene. Not yet. Henry did not understand the insult. He just saw a tall, scary lady staring at him. He waved his small hand and smiled. "Hi," he said in a bright voice. "She one-feathered wing. Order, please, one-feathered wing. Order, please. Commander Kor, continue." Lyra Kor sat down, but her gaze stayed on the humans. Paul could feel it like a cold wind. After some time, the council took a short break. Delegates stood up to talk in small groups. Some went to get food or water from floating trays. Henry tugged on Paul's sleeve. "Dad, can I look around, please? I want to see the glowing things." Paul looked at Karen. She nodded. "Stay close," Paul said. "Don't touch anything, and come back in 5 minutes." Henry jumped up and ran off with quick steps. He moved between the tall aliens like a small fish in a big sea. He stopped near a group of Vexari officers. One of them held a small crystal orb that changed colors. Henry stared at it with wide eyes. Lyra Kor stood nearby. I reached out his hand. His fingers almost reached out his hand. His fingers almost touched it. Lyra Kor saw the movement. She spun around fast. Her clawed hand shot out. She struck Henry hard across the face. The sound was loud. A sharp crack. Henry flew backward. He hit the smooth floor and slid a little. Blood came from his lip. He started to cry. Not loud sobs, but small, shocked whimpers. Paul heard it. His head turned so fast it hurt. He saw his son on the floor. He saw Lyra Kor standing over him with her hand still raised. Time seemed to stop. Karen screamed Henry's name. She ran forward. Paul was already moving. He pushed past two tall aliens and reached his son in seconds. He dropped to his knees and pulled Henry into his arms. "Henry, are you okay?" Paul's voice shook. Henry held his face. Tears ran down his cheeks. "It hurts, Dad." Paul looked up at Lyra Kor. She stood there with her arms crossed. Her yellow eyes were cold. "You hit my son," Paul said. His words came out slow and clear. Lyra Kor lifted her chin. "The child touched my insignia. That is an insult. On my world, such disrespect means death." "He is 8 years old," Paul said. "He didn't know." "Then teach him," she answered. "Or keep your spawn on a leash." More delegates gathered. Some looked shocked. Others looked amused. The presiding elder hurried over with 2 guards. "What happened here?" Varel asked. Lyra Kor spoke first. "A minor incident. The human youngling was rude. I corrected it." Paul stood up. Henry clung to his leg. Karen held her son's hand and wiped his bloody lip with her sleeve. "This is not minor," Paul said. His voice was steady now. "You struck a child, in front of everyone." Virel looked between them. "The council will look into this. For now, it is a cultural difference. Commander Kor, you will apologize." Lyra Kor laughed. It was a dry, ugly sound. "Apologize? To a Deathworlder brat? Never." The elder sighed. "Then we will discuss this later. Please return to your seats. The session continues soon." Paul carried Henry back to their place. Karen walked beside them. Henry's crying had become quiet sniffles. Paul felt something hard grow inside his chest. Not just anger, something deeper. Something that humans from Earth knew well. On a death world, you protect your own. Always. Karen looked at Paul. Lyra Kor had already turned away. Lyra Kor had already turned away. She acted like the strike had never happened, but Paul knew better. On Earth, no one hurt a child and walked away free. Not ever. The break ended, but the hall still buzzed with quiet talk. Delegates returned to their seats slowly. Some kept glancing at the human section. Then Henry sat between his parents again. A small white bandage covered his split lip. Karen held him close. She stroked his hair and whispered soft words. Paul sat straight. His hands rested on his knees, but his fingers were tight. His eyes never left Lyra Kor. The presiding elder, Virel, tapped a small crystal rod on the platform. The sound rang clear. Everyone grew quiet. "We return to the trade route discussion," Virel said. "Commander Kor, you may speak again." Lyra Kor stood. But every few words, Her yellow eyes flicked toward the humans. It was quick, like a snake checking its prey. Paul watched her. He saw the small smile on her face when she mentioned lesser species. He felt the anger rise again, slow and hot. On Earth, people settled things face to face. Here, they used words and rules. And Paul knew the rules would protect her. A delegate from a water world raised a fin. What about safety for smaller ships? Humans have started trade in this sector. Lyra Kor turned her head. Smaller ships should stay out of strong waters. If they enter, they accept the risk. Another delegate, a tall insect-like being, clicked its mandibles. The humans say their ships are strong. They survived their death world. Lyra Kor laughed again. The sound was sharp. Survived? Barely. And they crawl out of mud and blood. They are not ready for real space. Paul felt Karen's hand on his arm. She squeezed hard. "Don't," she whispered. "Not here." Henry looked up at his dad. His eyes were red from crying earlier. "Dad, why does she hate us?" Paul took a slow breath. "She doesn't know us, son. That's all." But inside, Paul knew it was more. Many aliens feared Deathworlders. Earth had made humans tough. They healed fast. They fought hard. They did not break easy. Now that scared the ones who lived on safe, gentle worlds. The session dragged on. Hours passed. Henry fell asleep against Karen's side. His small chest moved up and down. Paul covered him with his jacket. At last, Varel closed the day. "We meet again tomorrow. Rest well." Delegates stood and moved toward the wide doors. Some went to eat. Others talked in corners. Paul helped Karen lift Henry. The boy woke just enough to walk, holding his mother's hand. And they walked down a long corridor of smooth, white stone. Lights glowed along the walls. Other humans from the delegation waited near their guest rooms. There were 3 more. John Harris, a quiet engineer with short black hair, Lisa Grant, a sharp-eyed diplomat, and Mike Torres, a big security man with a shaved head. John stepped forward. "We heard what happened. Is the boy okay?" Karen nodded. "His lip is cut, but he'll be fine." Mike crossed his arms. They just let her do it?" Paul looked at them. "The council called it a cultural misunderstanding. No punishment." Lisa shook her head. "That's their way. They avoid conflict. They talk around problems." Paul's voice was low. "On Earth, we don't talk around a child getting hit." They went inside the human guest suite. It was large but simple, soft beds, a table with food trays, big windows that showed the purple sky of Zorath Prime. Henry went straight to a couch and curled up. So Karen sat with him. Paul walked to the window. He stared out at the strange stars. "They think we're weak because we follow rules here," he said. "They think we won't push back." John stood beside him. "What do you want to do?" Paul turned. "I want justice. Real justice." Mike nodded slowly. "We have our gear, tracking tools, quiet weapons. We could find her." Lisa raised a hand. "Wait. If we act, it could ruin everything for Earth." Karen looked up from Henry. Her voice was firm. She hit our son, in front of the whole council, and they did nothing. If we do nothing, what message does that send?" Henry opened his eyes. "Mom, are you mad at the lizard lady?" Karen kissed his forehead. "Yes, sweetheart. Very mad." Paul knelt by his son. "Henry, does it still hurt?" The boy touched his lip. "A little, but I'm okay." Paul hugged him tight. "Good. You're brave." After Henry fell back asleep, the adults gathered at the table. They kept their voices low. John pulled out a small device. It looked like a flat black box. "This is our locator. It can track Vexari signals. Their badges give off a weak pulse. We can find her location." Mike leaned in. "She's probably in the VIP wing. Fancy rooms. Guards." Lisa frowned. If we go after her, we need to be clean. No mess. No proof. Paul stared at the device. We don't need proof. We need her to know what happens when you touch one of ours. Karen spoke next. Paul, think about it. If we do this, but the council will be angry. But if we don't, they will keep treating us like dirt. Paul looked at each of them. I won't let my son grow up thinking we bow our heads when someone hurts him. Mike cracked his knuckles. I'm in. John nodded. Me too. Lisa sighed. I don't like it, but I understand it. They spent the next hour planning. They studied maps of the complex on John's device. They marked Lyra Core's likely room. They talked about times when guards changed shifts. And they decided on quiet tools, stun devices, blades if needed. Nothing loud, nothing that would bring alarms right away. Karen stayed with Henry. She watched the men work. Her face was pale, but her eyes were steady. At one point, Paul walked over to her. You sure about this? He asked. Karen looked at their sleeping son. I'm sure I never want him to feel that helpless again. Paul kissed her. Then we do it right. Outside, the night on Zorath Prime was calm. The two moons hung low, out of people from a hard world. Paul checked of people from a hard world. Paul checked his small knife. It was simple steel, sharp on both sides. Made on Earth. He slipped it into his sleeve. Mike tested a stun rod. It hummed once, then went silent. John watched the tracker. She's moving, heading to a private shuttle bay. Looks like she's leaving early. Paul's eyes narrowed. Then we move now. They dressed in dark clothes. No bright colors, no markings. They looked like shadows. Karen stayed behind. Bring him back safe, she said to Paul. All of you. Paul nodded. We will. The four men slipped out of the suite. They walked soft through the corridors. The complex was quiet now. Most delegates slept. A few guards patrolled, but they were easy to avoid. They reached a side passage that led to the shuttle bays. The air grew cooler. And the smell of engines came through the walls. John checked the device. She's in Bay 7, alone. No guards with her. Paul looked at the others. This is it. Mike gave a small grin. Deathworld rules. Paul did not smile back. His mind was on Henry, on the crack of that claw against his son's face, on the blood, on the laugh. They moved forward, silent, steady. The door to Bay 7 slid open with a soft hiss. Lyra Core stood by her sleek black shuttle. She was checking a panel. But her back was to them. Paul stepped inside first. The door closed behind them. Lyra Core turned. Her yellow eyes widened just a little. Then she smiled. Sharp teeth gleamed. So, she said, the Deathworlders come to play. Paul took one step forward. This isn't play, he said. And the bay lights dimmed as the fight began. The door to Bay 7 closed with a quiet hiss. The shuttle bay was large and dim. Only a few overhead lights glowed yellow. I stepped forward first. John Harris, Lisa stepped forward first. John Harris, Lisa Grant, and Mike Torres followed close behind. They spread out a little. No one spoke. They did not need to. Each knew their place. Lyra Core turned fully to face them. Her yellow eyes narrowed. She showed her sharp teeth in what might have been a smile or a warning. And she wore no armor now, just her black uniform. But her claws were out, long and curved. A small energy pistol hung at her hip. Deathworlders, she said. Her voice echoed a little in the empty bay. You dare come here, after dark, like thieves? Paul stopped 10 steps away. His voice was calm. You hit my son today, in front of everyone. You laughed. Lyra tilted her head. Your spawn touched what was mine. On Vexari ships, that means pain. I gave him a lesson. A small one. He is a child, Paul said. 8 years old. He knows nothing of your rules. Then he should learn fast, she answered, or stay on your mudball of a planet. Deathworlders do not belong here. Mike Torres took one step to the side, his big hands flexed. You talk a lot for someone alone. Lyra's eyes flicked to him, then to John and Lisa. She laughed again, low and dry. 4 of you, against me. You think numbers matter? I have fought worse. She reached for her pistol. Fast. But Mike was faster. He threw something small and black. It hit her wrist with a crack. The pistol flew across the floor and clattered against the shuttle wall. Lyra hissed in anger. She lunged at Paul, her claws aimed for his throat. Paul did not back away. He stepped in close. He caught her arm with one hand. With the other, he drove his fist hard into her side. The blow landed where scales were thin. Lyra grunted and twisted free. John moved next. He pulled a stun rod from his belt. Her blue sparks danced along its tip. He swung at her legs. Lyra jumped back. She was quick, very quick, but the bay was not big. She had less room to move. Lisa stayed back. She watched the doors. Hurry, she whispered. Guards might come. Lyra spun toward John. Her tail whipped out like a whip. It caught him across the chest. John flew back and hit the shuttle hull. He slid down but got up slow, breathing hard. Paul charged again. This time he tackled her. They both went to the floor. Metal rang under them. Lyra clawed at his back. Fabric tore. Blood came. Paul ignored it. He pinned one of her arms with his knee. He raised his fist. You think this ends with pain? Lyra snarled. The council will hear of this. Your world will pay. Paul looked down at her. His face was hard. The council did nothing when you hit my boy, so we do something now. Mike joined them. He grabbed Lyra's other arm. He twisted it behind her back. She struggled, but Mike was strong. And years on Earth had made him that way. Heavy gravity, hard work, fighting things that wanted to eat him. John limped over. He picked up the fallen pistol. He pointed it at Lyra's head. Stop moving. Lyra stopped, but her eyes burned. You will die for this. All of you. Paul stood up. He pulled the small knife from his sleeve. The blade was simple, sharp, made of good earth steel. He looked at Mike and John. They nodded once. Paul knelt again. He spoke low. This is for Henry. Oh, for every child you think you can hurt and walk away from. Lyra tried to twist free one last time. Mike held her tight. John kept the pistol steady. Paul moved fast. One clean cut, deep, sure. Blood sprayed across the floor, dark green, thick. Lyra's body jerked once, then went still. Silence fell over the bay. Only the shuttle's hum remained. Paul stood. His hands shook just a little. He wiped the blade on Lyra's uniform. Then he put it away. Mike let go of the body. It slumped to the side. John lowered the pistol. We need to clean this. Lisa came forward. She looked pale but steady. No alarms yet. Good. We have maybe 10 minutes. They worked quick. Mike dragged the body behind some cargo crates. John found a cleaning bot in the corner. He set it to scrub the floor. The bot whirred to life and rolled over the blood. It sucked it up and left the metal clean. Paul took what they came for. He used a sealed bag from his pocket. He placed the head inside. Careful. No mess on his clothes. Lisa checked the doors. Clear. They moved to the shuttle ramp. John hacked the lock with his small device. The ramp closed behind them. They slipped out the side exit of the bay, a service tunnel, dark and narrow. They walked fast, but quiet. Back through the complex, past sleeping quarters, past empty halls. No one saw them. When they reached the human suite, Karen opened the door before they knocked. She had been waiting. Her eyes went straight to Paul. Hani held up the sealed bag. It's done. Karen looked inside for 1 second. Then she looked away. She nodded. Good. Henry was still asleep on the couch. His small face looked peaceful now. The bandage on his lip was white against his skin. Paul knelt by his son. He touched Henry's hair lightly. "No one will hurt you again like that," he whispered. Karen put a hand on Paul's shoulder. "What now?" Paul stood. "Now we wait for morning." For the council session." Mike cleaned his hands in the sink. "They will find her missing soon, but they won't find her body. Not yet." John sat down. He rubbed his chest where the tail had hit. "We did what we had to." Lisa looked at them all. "This changes everything. They will fear us now." Paul stared out the window at the purple sky. 2 moons still hung low. "They should have feared us before, but they didn't listen." He turned back to the room. "Get some rest. Tomorrow we show them the price of hurting one of ours." Karen picked up the sealed bag. She placed it on the table. "We take this with us, into the hall." Paul nodded. "Yes, right to their feet." Henry stirred in his sleep. He murmured something soft. Karen went to him. She sat and held his hand. The others found places to rest, but no one really slept deep. Their minds were on the morning, on the faces of the council, on the moment the head would drop. Outside, Zorath Prime stayed quiet. The stars watched. The complex slept, but in the human suite, something new was born. Not just anger, not just revenge, respect, the kind that comes from strength, the kind Deathworlders knew best. They had protected their own, and the galaxy would remember. The morning light on Zorath Prime came through tall windows in soft purple waves. The assembly hall filled slowly. Delegates walked in groups, talking in low voices. Many had heard rumors during the night. The Commander Lyra Kor had not come to her quarters. Her shuttle still sat in Bay 7, doors locked. No one had seen her leave the planet. Whispers spread like wind through dry grass. Paul Clark walked into the hall with steady steps. He carried a plain black case in one hand. It was small, the size of a lunchbox. Karen walked beside him. She held Henry's hand tight. The boy looked better now. The cut on his lip was healing fast, the way things did on Deathworld children. He wore a clean shirt. Then no smile, no fear, just calm. They took the same dark suits as before. Their faces showed nothing. No smile, no fear, just calm. They took their seats in the human section. Other delegates stared. Some pointed. A few moved away, like the humans carried sickness. Paul set the case on the floor between his feet. He rested one hand on it. The presiding elder, Virel, flew to the central platform, and his silver feathers caught the light. He tapped the crystal rod. The hall grew quiet. "Delegates," Virel said, "we begin with reports of missing persons. Commander Lyra Kor of the Vexari Dominion has not been located. Security teams search now." Murmurs rose. A Vexari officer stood. His scales were lighter than Lyra's. His voice shook a little. "She was last seen at her shuttle. The bay cameras show nothing after midnight." Another delegate, a furry one from Loran, asked, "Was there trouble?" "She argued with humans yesterday." Eyes turned to Paul. He sat still. His face gave nothing away. Virel raised a wing. "We do not accuse without proof. Let us—" Paul stood up. The movement was slow. Everyone watched. He picked up the black case. He walked down the steps to the central platform. No one stopped him. The guards looked unsure. Paul stopped in front of Virel. He set the case on the smooth stone floor. With both hands, he opened the latches. They clicked loud in the silence. And he lifted the lid. Inside, on soft black cloth, rested Lyra Kor's head. The yellow eyes stared blank. The mouth hung open a little. Green blood had dried around the cut neck. The scales still shone, but dull now. Paul reached in. He lifted the head by the spines on the back. He held it high for a moment. Then he let it drop. It hit the floor with a wet thud. It rolled once and stopped at Virel's feet. The elder stepped back fast. His feathers puffed out in shock. Then a scream came from the Vexari section. Other delegates gasped. Some stood up, some sat frozen. The hall filled with noise, cries, shouts, chairs scraping. Paul spoke. His voice was clear, not loud, but it carried to every corner. "This is Commander Lyra Kor," he said. "She struck my son yesterday, a child, 8 years old. She hit him hard enough to draw blood." She laughed. "The council called it minor, a misunderstanding, so we handled it our way." He looked around the hall. At the tall ones, the small ones, the feathered and scaled and furred. "We come from a death world," Paul continued. "Earth. Our planet tries to kill us every day. Storms tear trees from the ground. Animals hunt us. Poison fills the air and water sometimes. We grew strong because we had to. We protect our young. Always. No talk. No vote. If you hurt one of ours, especially a child, you do not walk away." Karen stood now. She held Henry's hand. The boy looked at the head on the floor. But your commander chose violence." But your commander chose violence. She chose to teach a lesson with her claw, so we taught one back." Virel found his voice. It came out thin. This is murder. You will face justice." Paul shook his head. "Justice? Your justice let her walk free. Our justice is simple. An eye for an eye. A life for a threat to a child. She is gone. So the threat is gone." Mike Torres stood next. His voice was deep. "We did not come here to start war. We came to join. But if joining means we let our children bleed while you watch, then we do not join. We stand alone, and we stand ready." A delegate from a plant-like species rustled its leaves. "You threaten the council?" Paul looked straight at him. "No threat. A promise. Touch one of our children again. See what happens." The hall stayed quiet now. No more shouts. Only breathing, and heavy breathing. Henry tugged Karen's hand. He whispered, "Dad did that for me." Karen knelt. She hugged him close. "Yes, sweetheart. Dad and the others kept you safe." Paul stepped back from the platform. He did not run. He walked slow, back to his seat. The others followed. Virel stared at the head. He could not look away. Then he spoke to the guards. "Remove this and clear the hall. Session ends now." Guards moved forward. 2 of them lifted the head with careful hands, and they wrapped it in cloth. They carried it out. Delegates left fast. Some ran, some walked backward, eyes on the humans. No one spoke to them. When the hall was almost empty, Paul sat down. He felt tired, but also clear, like a weight had lifted. Karen leaned over. "You okay?" He nodded. "Yeah, it's done." Henry climbed into Paul's lap. He put his small arms around his dad's neck. "Thanks, Dad." Paul held him tight. "Always, kid." John Harris spoke low. They will talk about this for years." Lisa Grant nodded. "And they will think twice before they act." Mike Torres crossed his arms. "Good. Let them fear us a little. Better than pity." Outside the hall, alarms started soft. Security teams would come soon. Questions, maybe arrests. But the humans stayed seated. They waited. They knew what came next would be different. The galaxy had seen Deathworlders angry, seen them act, seen them finish what they started. Respect did not come from talk. It came from strength. From showing you meant your words. Paul looked at the empty platform, at the small dark spot where blood had touched stone. He thought of Henry's face yesterday, the tears, the blood, the laugh from Lyra Kor. Now that laugh was gone forever, and Henry was safe. That was enough. The doors opened again. More guards entered, tall ones in silver armor. They stopped at the edge of the human section. One of them spoke. "You will come with us." Paul stood, and he helped Henry down. "We will come," he said, "but know this. What happened here today is not the end. It is the beginning. Treat us as equals, or do not treat with us at all." The guard leader looked at the humans, at the boy, at the father who had just dropped a commander's head like it was nothing. He said nothing, he only nodded once. The humans walked out together, Paul in front, Karen and Henry in the middle, the others behind. Heads turned as they passed. No one laughed now, though no one sneered. The Deathworlders had spoken, and the galaxy listened. The guards led the humans through long white corridors. Their boots echoed on the stone floor. Paul walked in front. Karen held Henry's hand. John, Lisa, and Mike followed. No one spoke. The air felt thick, heavy with what had just happened. They came to a large room with high ceilings. It was not a prison cell. It looked like a meeting room, soft lights, big table in the center, chairs around it. Or windows showed the purple sky turning darker. 2 moons rose slow. The guard leader stopped at the door. "Wait here. The council will speak to you soon." He left. The door closed with a soft click. No lock sound. They were not prisoners yet. Not really. Paul sat at the table. The others joined him. Henry climbed onto Karen's lap. He looked tired but awake. His small fingers played with her sleeve. Karen kissed the top of his head. "You okay, baby?" Henry nodded. "Dad was brave." Paul gave a small smile. "We all were." Mike leaned back in his chair. "They are scared now. You can feel it." Lisa nodded. They did not expect this. Not from new members. John stared at the door. "What do you think they will do?" Paul shrugged. "Talk. Threaten. Maybe try to punish us, but they know one thing now. Hurt our kids, and we answer hard." Minutes passed. Then the door opened again. Virel entered first. His silver feathers looked duller now. Behind him came 5 other council members. A tall, furry one from Loran, a blue insect being with clicking mandibles, a plant-like delegate whose leaves rustled soft. 2 others, smooth-skinned and quiet. They sat across the table. No one smiled. No one looked comfortable. Virel spoke first. His voice was careful. "What you did today, it cannot stand. You killed a commander, in our halls, in front of us all." Paul met his eyes. "She attacked a child, my child. Your rules let her walk free." Our rules do not," the furry delegate growled low. "Your rules are not our rules. You are guests here." Karen spoke then. Her voice was steady. "Guests who were attacked. No one protected my son, so we protected him." Henry looked up at the council. His voice was small but clear. "She hit me. It hurt a lot. Dad made it stop." The insect delegate clicked once. "A child speaks for Deathworlders now?" Paul put a hand on Henry's shoulder. "He speaks truth." "That is enough." Virel rubbed his beak with one wing. "The Vexari demand justice. They want your heads. All of you." Mike laughed once, short and hard. "Let them come. We will see who loses more." The plant delegate rustled louder. "This could mean war. Earth against many worlds." Lisa leaned forward. "We do not want war. We want respect. Equal place at this table. No more insults. No more claws on our young." The room stayed quiet for a long time. Virel looked at each human, and then at the boy. Something changed in his eyes. Not fear exactly. Understanding, maybe. "You are different," he said, slow. "We thought Deathworlders were wild, broken by their planet. But you are not broken. You are strong in ways we forgot." Paul nodded once. "Our world made us that way. We survive, we protect, we do not forget." The furry one spoke next. "The Vexari will not forgive easy, but they fear you now. Word spreads fast. Us ships already talk about the head on the floor." The insect clicked again. "Many species watch. Some laugh at Vexari weakness. Some worry what humans do next." Paul looked around the table. "We do not want to fight everyone, but we will not bow. Not when our children bleed." Virel sighed. A long bird sound. "Then we must find balance. Punishment for you would start war. Letting you go free would look weak. So we offer this." He paused. "You leave Zorath Prime tonight. Your ship waits. No charges, no trial. But Earth must pay a fine. Small. For disturbance." Karen frowned. "And the Vexari?" Virel looked at her. "They will receive a warning. From the Council. No more attacks on human young. Or any young. We will write new rules. Clear ones." The plant delegate added, "And humans will have full member status. Not provisional. Full. With voice and vote." Mike raised an eyebrow. "You give us that now? After this?" Virel met his gaze. "We give it because of this." Boy smiled up at him. Paul turned back. Boy smiled up at him. Paul turned back. "We accept. But know this. Next time someone thinks to hurt one of ours, we will not wait for counsel. We will act. Fast. Final." Virel nodded slow. "We understand." The council stood. Virel spoke last. "Your things are ready. Go to your shuttle. Leave before dawn. Safe travels." They left the room. The door stayed open. And the humans stood too. Paul picked up Henry. The boy wrapped arms around his neck. They walked out together, down the corridors, past guards who looked away, past delegates who stared but said nothing. At the shuttle bay, their small Earth ship waited. Lights on, engines warm, they boarded. Karen strapped Henry in. Paul sat at controls. John and Mike checked systems. Lisa sealed the door. The bay doors opened. Stars waited outside. Paul looked back once, at the complex, at the place where a head had fallen, where words had changed forever. He pushed the controls forward. The ship rose smooth, left Zorath Prime behind. Inside, Henry yawned. "Are we going home, Dad?" Paul smiled. "Yes, son, home." Karen put her hand on Paul's. "You did good." He squeezed back. "We all did." The ship jumped to faster speed. Stars stretched into lines. Back on Zorath Prime, the council met again. In private this time. Virel sat quiet. Then he spoke to the others. "Deathworlders are here. They are part of us now. Treat them careful, or pay the price." The furry one nodded. "They protect their own like nothing else." The insect clicked. "And they do not forgive easy." The plant rustled. "A new age begins." Virel looked out at the stars. "Yes, and humans are in it. Strong, fierce, ready." Far away, the Earthship flew toward home. A family inside, safe, together. And the galaxy knew their name now. Not just humans, Deathworlders. People who struck back when you hurt their children. People who dropped heads at your feet to make a point. People who would never back down. The stars kept shining, but something had changed. Respect had been earned, in blood, in strength, in love for a child. And that respect would last, long after the moon set, long after the council forgot the fear. It would last, because Deathworlders never forgot, and they always protected their own.